All right, welcome everybody. This is the weekly issue ideas queue review meeting, aka the product management meeting for Drupal 8 core. I am joined by, my name is WebChick. I'm joined by Boyan, one of the usability team maintainers, Dries Beitart, the project lead, Emily, who is working on awesome media things, and Gabor Hoitschy, who is also working on awesome media things. So this talk, what we wanted to do, while this doesn't correlate specifically to an issue in the ideas queue, nevertheless, the fact that a lot of movement is being done in the media initiative seems like this is a topical and good time to be focusing on some of that. What we're trying to get into very early in the 8.4 cycle is the media entity module, which is going to provide all the architectural nuts and bolts for various media accoutrements that we want to do after that. What Emily is working on is the stuff that will be unblocked once we get that fundamental architecture in place. So what the actual end users will be touching and dealing with on a day-to-day basis, the content authors and stuff. So Emily, if you can take it away, and feel free to introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Emily Nouveau. I've been doing UX and work on the media library cards, and I will do a screen share now to show. So this is working on the issue of creating an MVP and mockup for media, and that's 2828538 and also 2834729. And at this point, we have some designs UX for the card setup and also some of the filters. And so this is an idea of how the cards can look, and also the actual working code to do that. So we have here the hover and select options, so you can select your media and perform actions on it, and also collapsed metadata and expanded metadata. So you can have more information here, and right now we have a default with some information about the file, and then of course it's a view, so people can edit and modify that for their specific site needs. So do people have questions?
Yeah, I think one key thing that we changed since the original design is that the original design called for the media types to be tabs on this page, like image and video and whatever. And we decided to not do that for some reasons. One being you may want to have multi-select for media types. Another being that media types may not correlate directly to the type of data that you deal with, like an image. Like images could be both hosted on Flickr and locally, and media type would be separate for them. And image is something that's a different concept from what's actually being used to store them. So that may not be the best default for those cases. And it also made it hard to extend the page with further functionality subtabs for other features, because the tabs we've added behaved like filters on the view, hard-coded filters. And if you add more tabs, those pages would behave entirely differently. So we decided to not use tabs for this, but just use the built-in filtering features. And this is, I think the UX team concluded that all these buttons and select boxes look very sad, and there's like 4 buttons on this page for all kinds of things, which is unfortunately the same on the comments view and the same on the content view and the same on the user view, where you have filters and add new and actions to apply to things. So we need a more wide-reaching way to solve these problems, because we have the same problem on other pages. It's just that we have this very beautiful library design here in the middle of this very bad-looking admin UI.
Oh.
No, it's functional. You can do a lot of things. But
yeah, so there's an issue for the updating to all of the forms too. So that would make a huge difference. Look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really not much we can do, I guess. The only thing that's maybe a little bit confusing is the two applies, but I think that's only the case when you will have such few media items. When you have a bunch, then it's not as much as a dissonance thing.
Yeah, once you have like 50 of them on the page, when you select them, you arrive at the bottom of the page, and then you have the button there to apply whatever you wanted to do with them. That's the idea.
I thought he was talking about the apply, and then apply to selected items, and then apply to selected items. We just the shit out of this page. Anyway, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is it possible to just hide it in a field set? I mean, that's how we deal with it on the content page, right?
Boyan.
No.
Stuff in the field set. Cha.
No, I think we do it on the reports page for sure. The reporting, yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sort of the main thing people would do on this page, because right now it looks like, you know, you can delete media, but what would be what's the 80% use case?
I would expect adding media would be the 80% use case here. So you would add media for reuse across the website. That's my understanding. But
so it's primarily like an uploader kind of thing, and then you can delete some if you want to. Is that what other actions are there? Delete.
So this is like the equivalent of the Drupal Drupal core's content page, like listing page. So you get to see a list of all the stuff on your site. You get to filter it by author or whatever, publish status. And then you can also add new things from here, and then they'll show up in the list below. Deleting would be like one of the 1% use cases. I think you would delete things very rarely from here, because if you uploaded them to begin with, you probably wanted them there.
Yeah, I have found it odd that deletes the first action, because there's also publish, save, and unpublish. And
I see. Okay, just curious, like what the workflow is, because I actually never use. I actually almost never go to the content page.
Yeah, that's true.
But maybe other people do. Different people have different patterns.
I go there when I've lost something, and then you can usually find it. So
that's what I do.
Yeah.
So Emily, do you have this applied to the widgets so you can launch this in a modal?
No. Yeah, I have that played with, but it's not working on my local at the moment, so I can't demo that.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea is that as soon as you go to the field widget to add one, you also see the same library inside of the modal.
I will say that I mean, I think it looks really nice. Don't get me wrong. I will say that the primary use case is adding content. That's not the thing that's initially that is the most obvious to me. Like, I think the filter thing and the apply to selected items, they draw much more attention, for me at least, than the add media button, which seems smaller.
So maybe we do want to collapse in a field set. Or we want to change the upload mechanism to like a big, like, drag here box, you know, that would be obviously visually stunning, but that kind of gets into other things that we don't want to necessarily tie to this patch.
I mean, it's not the best idea, but it's the best hack that we have for not, like, basically taking over the whole form. Yeah, I mean, we've tried fixing them, I think, plenty of times before, so I don't think making that a requirement is really kind of a feasible next step. But yeah, I mean, it's clear that this will resurface anytime we have a listing where we have to do some filtering.
We had a similar discussion in the UX review meeting of this, and I also suggested, okay, let's collapse it behind the field set.
Okay.
Because it only gets useful after dozens, if not hundreds, of media items. So that's what always bugged me about that one. That's always there from the start. I'd rather have it appear after, well, the pager kicks in or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, making the add media button is not a strategy. Making that media button bigger is not a strategy, right? It's the other stuff that needs to be de-emphasized, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
do think most people do have drop zones at this point, so that is one other thing that would help as far as the ad media goes.
Right. I would love to see us move to a drop zone, but that's getting quite a bit above and beyond the implemented media library like scope. So
Yeah.
And that first tile could always be drop your new one here. Yeah.
Fancy man. That would actually be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a patch where you could drop in the that changes the file widget to a drop zone, and you can drop stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Which does work, by the way, with the media stuff very well, but not since there's no file field here, that wouldn't work with this directly.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking at what we do for.
I remember it's something about redesign the file field widget or something like that. That patch.
Yeah. So what we do for the log messages is this one is we do not hide it by default, but it's very easy to hide. So we have this.
Switching to Gabor's screen there. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can do that. That's what we do there. And for content, it's once you have content, then it also has the bulk operations, and then it just goes very bad.
So could you flip back there for a second? How come content is all horizontally aligned nicely? Because that helps with this problem. Where
this one, I think it depends on the browser or something.
Yeah, so I'm showing in Firefox. It would look a bit prettier in Chrome.
I see.
Yeah, but the content page already has the same filter applied to selected items.
Yeah.
That are a problem, and it's even applied now. I think or maybe it's filter. I don't know. We changed that recently, so it has the same buttons and actions and everything. And files would have the similar problem, and comments have a hideable field set too. So
it's always nice when you
it's a pattern.
So many versions to choose from. Yeah.
Oh God. All right. Well, anyway, so that seems like a good addition, is just to collapse, at least put it in a collapsible field set, even if it's not collapsed by default. Seems like these aren't collapsed by default, generally speaking.
Yeah.
So that
it also.
Like
if you look at Gmail, for example, I don't know if you use a Gmail UI, you can select things, and the second you select something, all these other options become available. Like, there's no delete button or icon until you have selected something.
Yeah, until you've selected something, you don't need any of these actions here.
So a lot of that gets us into the realm of redesigning filters, which we have, I think, multiple issues with plenty of designs. I think for just kind of progress sake, we should just hide it. Because I think solving that will take quite a bit of time. I mean, I happily solve it, but we haven't solved it in a while.
I'm not saying we should solve it right now. I'm just... I think it would be fairly small. Like, if nothing is selected, you don't need to show the actions button, right? Or the actions option.
That would be a nice first step to make that conditional.
Seems like a fairly small change. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the proposals that the UX team started working on starting in August was ideally to make it like this. I should zoom in here. to make it like this, and to make the actions more related to working with, more visually combine the whatever you're working on. But this is the kind of visual approach that does not work for a media library, because it's not a table where you can put an arrow and it's related or whatever. So then we decided to make it much simpler and just color the row differently like this, which is not very different.
Yeah, I actually remember. So Kevin had quite a few interesting filter designs for media, which we should then revisit. Those were quite good.
Yeah. So if we could implement that somehow, that would be nice. I'm trying to set up a UI side of the SAM's media library patch so we can look at widgets. But I don't know if the patch has them set up or not. I don't think. Go ahead.
I think we might also find that there's a lot of echo all of a sudden. Sorry, hold on. I'm not sure if it's me. Like, I don't know if you can show the. I think it's in Emily's screen. I'm going to switch back to Emily. Yeah, there's published. Okay, and so published would be, what is published, Emily? Is that a date? In your
published. Yes. So that's just the publisher unpublished status on the filter. So you can see the published media and unpublished.
Yeah, but what does it mean? Published any?
Yeah, just yes or no.
Oh, okay. But it is actually published or not? Sorry. Got it. So for me, if I'm just trying to think, like on my site, it's maybe not, again, it's not the reference site, obviously, but I have, I think 50 gigabytes of images, so thousands of it. So they're all images, that's all I have. And they're all published. And finding them by name is, I think, only so useful. But like, I would probably want to find them by date as well as name. I know, it's just, again, we're not trying to redesign it here, but I feel like in some cases where you have a lot of images or assets, these options may not be that useful.
So that could be another way to go about this, is start with no filters and start building in the ones we think are actually useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be a great way to go, so that people don't get used to a certain filter, and then we can find the best ones.
But I think having no filter at all would also be, I mean, I think at least name should be there or something. Like,
yeah,
what
I
if
think
you have
really
what if
the
you
search box and media type probably, but
yeah. Anyway.
Should look at what Google Docs does, because that's basically what we're building here is, you know, Drupal's version of the Google Docs overview page, except hopefully less crappy.
Well, they have just search, I think, and then they have these smart keywords you can use.
Yep. You search by keyword first, and then you can filter down to type or other things.
Yeah, or at least the search.
Here, so it's just kind of.
Or at least their search, they start just with a search text field, and then there is a little drop down to get more options. Yeah, I think. Like, you search by name, and then a whole thing comes out where you can. You know, build pretty advanced queries.
Yeah, and that includes the date too, so that gives you the context of how recent that is.
Yeah.
It looks like Gabor is showing us things.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Yeah, so I was trying to set up the SAM's version of the library, but I could not. But I found a GIF of SAM's version of the library. So this is basically a field widget that allows you to select from library, and then the library that you've just seen opens up in a modal with filters. And you can put the selected items in the field and then reorder them and remove them if you want to. So basically what you've seen in this screen is replicated in a modal with its filters. And you can pick items from there, and they are carried over to your field widget. And they appear, at least in the current setup, in the same card design on the field as they are on the library, because you can remove them here and you can reorder them. And it was easier to, I think it was deemed most appropriate to reuse the same interaction pattern for the field widget as is in the library for the media that you already have in your entity.
Mm-hmm.
So basically,
the published value may not make sense, right? Because you're going to add unpublished things.
Yeah, to their nodes, yeah. Yep. So what makes sense there is different from what makes sense in the global page.
But for any workflow, you would, right? Because you would have the media items unpublished, you add them, and then when you publish your page, you're going to also publish the media. Or
that could do it, yes, indeed, indeed. So just wanted to put like what Emily showed into perspective, and this is not the latest visual version of the library, but this is how it is currently proposed to work. And there's no direct way to upload media here yet, either, in the library, which is also something that should be possible.
oh yes, yeah.
But yeah, just to give you an idea of how this is.
I imagine that most people will use this modal for almost all of the stuff they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I wanted to show this, because it's the same media library that you see here, but there's without the actions and without the rest of the Chrome of the 7 theme.
Yep. So we are at time. I think we got a couple of actionable things from this to kind of deal with the filter stuff. Also, like a future-reaching thing where in that list of tiles, we'd make the first tile a drop zone where we could add or upload a new image there, which would be pretty cool. But again, I don't think part of the initial MVP patch at all. I think that's a further improvement down the road. I think it was good to visualize also what this would look like in context with the node form. Here, I can make my video too. So that's all good stuff. So I'm not hearing any hard blockers from any product management people. These are all kind of cosmetic changes that we'd like to maybe see happen. So I'm assuming that we basically have product management sign off to go ahead and go forth and make the awesome with media library. But did anyone have any concerns with that or anything else to add?
I think it looks promising. I think the selecting of images and the little metadata on it and all of that stuff looks really, really nice. I think just the filter stuff, that's a little wonky.
Yeah, it looks good.
Emily, what's blocking
Yes,
you
it
from
does.
making this an actual core patch for inclusion?
Nothing. I can go ahead and create a patch for what I have, and it sounds like we want to at least collapse the field set, so I'll need to do that bit first. But otherwise,
Okay, and sorry, Roy, I cut you off. What were you saying?
I wasn't saying.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No.
My head, you were talking and it was great. Okay, all right, so all right, well then I guess you need the media entity patch to be around so that you can actually upload things to your media library.
right, yeah, I suppose that is a blocker.
That is a little bit of a blocker. I guess you could do it on images for now or something, just to kind of get things rolling. But anyway, yeah, that would be cool to see if it's feasible, because then we can start the long, drawn-out process of nitpicking all of your white space and all of that stuff. But anyway, awesome work, Emily. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Any other comments
Yes.
or anything from anyone? Okay, then thanks for coming, everyone, and we'll talk again. Actually, we're going to talk again in a couple of weeks because Dries is out. So I'll get back with everyone on the next meeting, but it'll be roughly 2 weeks from now or so.
Feel free to talk without me too.
That's true. You can talk behind Dries' back.
Yeah.
You're so funny. Look, no, I'm just kidding. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.